What's going on, guys? It's your boy HG, bringing you guys a Search and Destroy on Village. And I think in this video, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about a little bit about myself. I know normally I don't do that. I usually stick with Call of Duty and the Call of Duty community and my likes and dislikes and all that stuff. But I figure since you guys, I've been getting new subscribers, I've been getting new views, and I figure at least give you guys a little bit of a background on why I game and how I've come to play Call of Duty and all that stuff. It's going to be a little personal, so it might get a little mushy or whatever, but I figure at least be open this once, because I know I'll never do this again, and I'm in the mood to do it, and I figure why not capitalize on that. Guys, I've come a long way. I've come a long way in my life from where I used to be and where I am now. I'm grateful every day of my life that I'm alive, and that I've regained a lot of my respect, my self-respect, and my dignity. That's why you can tell that I'm really big on that with Call of Duty and the people that are on YouTube and stuff, because I feel so passionate about being respectful and having self-respect for your obviously for yourself, and having some type of standards, because I've come a really fucking long way. And high school and grade school and all that stuff, I had friends. I was part of the so-called cool group or whatever. Played sports, had all the friends, had great relationship with my family and all that. But towards the end of high school, I actually started to go down a really destructive path, a really self-destructive path. I ended up with this particular girl, and me and her became, in high school, it's more puppy love than real love. I'm not trying to say that any of you guys out there that are in love or have a girlfriend or whatever in high school, it's not real. It certainly is real. But you just got to remember that by the time you get out of high school and you're in your 20s, a lot of that changes. A lot of your perspectives and views on life change. When you're in high school, you're basically the center of the universe. Everything revolves around you. But the older you get, you start to see the big picture, and you get outside that. Unfortunately for me, though, I really did become, and me and her became the center of the universe, and it was really a really shitty part of the universe. We started to go down a path that was really, there was only three options at the end of the road, and that's death, jail, or institution. And I'm sure some of you may know that phrase through either your struggles or your family struggles or friends' struggles. But when I was a junior in high school, I started to use drugs. I'd always smoked pot and drank and shit when I was in shit that started like in 7th and 8th grade. But there was never anything seen really wrong with that. But by the time I became a junior, I started to use harder and harder drugs. I'm not going to go into the ones I used and what ultimately became the problem, because I just don't feel it's really relevant to the story. But anyway, I became heavily addicted to a particular drug. And by the time I was 18 and I was in my senior year, I moved out with this girl. It was like second semester of senior year. We'd got an apartment, and my plans obviously were to go to college after high school. But going into college, I first of all hated school. When I was in high school, I hated high school. I hated it, even though I got good grades and I was friends with a lot of people and all that. I hated the structure. I hated the authoritative figures, and I just didn't like the rules and all that shit. And it's obviously just a young person being just trying to rebel or whatever. But it ultimately cost me a lot by acting that way, and by trying to piss people off and to say here I am kind of stuff. And I became addicted to a very, very strong drug, and by the time I was a senior in high school, I'd actually got kicked out of my first high school in junior year, then I went to another school. And by the time I was a senior, I was 100% fully. I mean, it was on. I mean, I'd quit playing sports. I'd quit everything. It was just me and this girl, and we essentially became drug buddies. And then, like I said, after high school, I tried to go to college. It didn't last very long. I think I lasted one semester, maybe half of the second semester. I started going to school just totally fucked up and not right, and my focus and ambitions were just not in the right place. By the end of my first year or my first semester of college, and that whole first year, it got really bad and was really fucked up, and my life had really taken a really fucked up turn, and I was going down this path of full-fledged, drug addict. This is gonna be your life if you don't knock it off, kind of thing. And of course you don't knock it off, because when you're an addict, the only thing you see is the drug. You don't see anything wrong with what you're doing. I mean, you know what you're doing is wrong, but you don't care, because all you want to do is get high. And it was rough. I ended up going to, in and out of treatment centers, in and out of detox wards. It was just rough. It sucked bad. And I ended up losing this girl that I was with, and at the time that was like the last straw kind of thing. Like, I didn't give a shit about living or dying. It was really selfish of me to think that way, but when you're in that state of mind, you don't give a fuck. You really don't give a shit. And I was there. I was at that point. I ended up, I think, stealing something like $2,000 or $3,000 from my grandparents, and like in stolen checks and stuff. And I went and copped a whole bunch of dope, and I thought that was it. Like, that weekend, I locked myself in my apartment, and that was it. I was done. But unfortunately, it wasn't. That Monday morning, I woke up to my sister just beating on the door. From like a 2-day haze. I didn't even know where I was at. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I didn't know how long I was out. And they thought, like, the best thing to do was to get treatment. And this was going to be like my third or fourth treatment. And ended up going to a place in Florida. They sent me down there. And it's not like my parents had a whole lot of money to do that. They just felt like, look, we have to do this, or we're going to lose them. And I agreed to go. I thought that was the best thing for me. I'd realized, I lost my girlfriend. I was living in a shithole. I had no money. I had no fucking future. My future was literally death. So I ended up going, and I went, and I didn't make it down there. I ran twice from a place, and I ended up being homeless. Some of you are probably like, what the fuck? It's true, man. I was. I ended up sleeping out of my car. And everyone that uses, right, and that's about to get clean, or trying to get clean, or wants to get clean, has to have this moment. And that moment is rock bottom. They have to have it. And some people never hit it. That's why you'll see people who are 50, 60 years old still in the streets using dope and doing drugs, because they just, even though it looks like they've hit their bottom, and you're like, how the fuck can that not be your bottom? Mentally, they're just not there. They're just not at rock bottom. My rock bottom was me standing in front of Jackson Memorial Hospital in downtown Miami, which was North Miami, North downtown. This part of the city called Overtown, which is, the fucking ghetto of ghettos, and just horrible place, project shit like that. And I'm standing in the middle of at this phone in Jackson Memorial Hospital, just bawling, tears coming out of my fucking eyes, just like crying and saying, Dad, can I please come home? And they agreed. And I told them on the phone, like, look, I'm not gonna fuck up, I promise. I came home, and ever since I've been clean. And about a year or so later, what game happened to come out? COD 4. And COD 4 gave me, I'm not saying it saved me, but it certainly gave me something to do with my boredom, something constructive to do, something to do with my time, and it certainly helped. So guys, I just wanted to let you know, where I come from, where my name comes from, and all that good stuff. So later, fellas.